All right, welcome everyone to the deep dive. This is where you send us the stories, the threads, the interesting stuff you find online.
And we do the digging for you. We sift through it all.
Yeah, we go deep, so you don't have to spend hours scrolling. We basically hand you the need to know, make you informed kind of fast.
Exactly. And hopefully, entertainingly. Today, oh boy, we've got a story that one of you pointed us to from Reddit. It's from Our Best Redditor Updates.
Seriously intense stuff. It involves a husband, a confession, falling in love with someone else.
And then suggesting polyamory. It's quite the journey.
It really is. We've got the original post where it all starts, and then a whole series of updates that follow.
So our mission, basically, is to walk through this whole thing, from that initial bombshell, through all the twists and turns, right up to the outcome. And we want to pull out the key moments, the insights,
Let's dive in.
Yeah.
So the first post we have is dated April 7th, 2024. The original poster, OOP. She's 33, female. She's been married for 4 years, but here's the kicker. They've been together for 12 years total.
Wow, 12 years. That's a long time.
A significant history, right. And they've just bought a house. They were talking about having kids soon, setting up that future.
Yeah, sounds like they're really building a life together, the whole package.
Totally. But then, a few months before she wrote this post, her husband, he's 34, he got sick.
Okay.
And while he was home, he got into an online game. Started playing regularly, like weekly sessions with a group.
A common way to pass the time, find community online.
Exactly. But he ends up connecting with this one woman in the group. She's around 30.
And let me guess, feelings developed.
Bingo. Fast forward about a month before OOP's post, and the husband confesses. He tells OOP he's fallen in love with this woman from the game.
Oof, just drops that bomb. How did she say it happened?
He described it as something that kind of built up slowly. They started texting privately away from the main group chat.
Okay, that's usually the first step, isn't it? The private channel.
Right. Then it moved to one-on-one calls. And apparently, the other woman confessed her love first. And he realized, he felt the same way. He told the other woman it was impossible. But, yeah, he loved her too.
So he told her first, before his wife, and said he loved her too, even while calling it impossible. That's messy.
Super messy. So then they try the whole let's just be friends thing.
Which almost never works in these situations.
Tell me about it. They kept showing affection. OOP even saw texts later. And it escalated to sexting.
Wow. So definitely not just friends.
Not even close. The other woman apparently wanted to meet in person, but he did refuse that part.
Okay, so there was one line he didn't cross physically, at least according to him.
Right. So he tells all this to OOP, says he's sorry, it all just kind of spiraled. And he gives her the classic, I love you both, but I choose you no matter what.
Oh, that line. It sounds reassuring maybe, but it's also saying, I have feelings for someone else. I can't just switch off.
Exactly. Understandably needed space. She spent a night away to just process everything.
I bet. That's a lot to take in. 12 years, buying a house, planning kids, and then this.
So she comes back, and maybe surprisingly, she decides she wants to try and forgive him.
Okay. That takes a lot of strength, or maybe hope.
For sure. They have these really long, deep conversations talking about their relationship, her feelings, how he handled it all so badly.
Yeah, because the feelings might be one thing, but the actions, the secret calls, the sexting, that's the betrayal.
Precisely. She seemed to accept that feelings can be complicated, but she called him out on acting on them, crossing those lines.
Makes sense. But just when you think maybe they're starting to navigate this. The day before she writes that first Reddit post, he hits her with another proposal.
Oh boy, what now?
He asks her if she'd be comfortable opening up their marriage. Polyamory.
Wow. Okay, so wait. He cheats, confesses, says he chooses her, and then suggests polyamory.
Yeah. He apparently wants to keep living with her, still have kids, like they planned. But he doesn't want to just ignore his feelings for the other woman. He wants to pursue that too.
So he wants both. His stable life with OOP and this new exciting connection.
Essentially, he even pitches it as doing it the right way. Clear boundaries, open communication.
Oh, now he wants open communication.
Right. And suggests they could both see other people, but they'd still be primary partners, present for each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, polyamory is a valid relationship structure for some people, but suggesting it right after you've been caught in an emotional affair.
Exactly. It feels less like a genuine exploration of relationship styles and more like a justification, a way to avoid consequences.
Yeah, it puts OOP in an absolutely impossible spot. She mentioned she has friends who are polyamorous, so The concept isn't totally alien.
Right, so she's not dismissing it out of hand purely based on ignorance.
But it's clearly not something she ever wanted or envisioned for her marriage. And now she's having to process this massive relationship shift right on the heels of a major betrayal.
It's like, deal with my affair, ND. Fundamentally change our marriage structure, please. It's a huge ask.
A huge ask, is putting it mildly. Okay, so that's the initial setup. Let's move to the first update. This comes about 2.5 weeks later, April 25th, 2024.
Gotcha. What's the vibe now?
She starts by thanking the Reddit commenters, says they helped her see some hard but fair truths.
The internet hive mind providing clarity. Sometimes it works.
Sometimes. She clarifies a few things. The other woman lives far away, which was a big factor in them not meeting.
Okay, logistics played a part.
But she reiterates her husband also refused to meet. And, importantly, she got tested for STDs.
Smart move.
All clear, thankfully.
That's one less thing to worry about, at least.
Definitely. Then there's this little detail, apparently, those polyamorous friends they have. They were the ones who suggested the open marriage idea to the husband.
Oh, wow. So they kind of facilitated this whole mess.
Seems like it, or at least gave him the idea.
Yeah.
OOP says she stopped talking to them for the time being.
Can't blame her. That feels like a sideways betrayal.
Totally. But the main thrust of this update is that OOP confronted her husband.
Good. What did she say?
She told him, point blank, his actions were incredibly hurtful, and they absolutely constituted infidelity, no matter his polyamory spin.
Yes. Calling it what it is, cheating.
She said she felt completely disrespected. And apparently, hearing it laid out like that, it destroyed him.
Real consequences hitting home, maybe.
Seems like it. He finally admitted his desire for an open marriage was selfish. He knew it deep down.
Took him long enough, so what did he do then?
He cut off contact with the other woman, gave OOP full access to his phone, his computer, everything.
The transparency play. See? Nothing to hide now.
Pretty much. And he wanted to start counseling immediately. He was being super affectionate, but even admitted some of it was guilt-driven.
Honesty, I guess. But now OOP is in limbo.
Exactly. She's torn. Does she believe he's really changed? Or is this just temporary remorse?
And the sunk cost fallacy comes creeping in, right?
Yeah.
12 years.
Yep, she explicitly mentions it. Is she staying just because of the history? Their first therapy appointment is still 2 months away, which feels like an eternity.
Oh, wow. That's a long time to wait when your life is imploding.
Right. She says her feelings are swinging wildly day to day. 1 minute, she's ready to leave. The next, she's wondering if they can fix it.
That sounds exhausting, just emotionally draining.
She's thinking about their shared past, the good times, how he supported her before. Leaving means starting completely over.
Which is terrifying, especially after being with one person for so long.
She even wonders, am I too old for this? But then she catches herself. Is this denial? Am I just scared of divorce? Is it codependency?
That's some heavy self-reflection. Good for her for asking those hard questions.
Definitely. But she's suffering. Not sleeping, no appetite, not enjoying anything. She booked an appointment with a psychologist just for herself.
Crucial step, getting her own support.
Then there's an edit to this update. A big one.
Oh.
The other woman. She dumped the husband.
She did what?
Apparently, after he confessed he was married and basically pitched the I want you both polyamory idea to her, she was out.
Huh. So his grand plan wasn't even appealing to the affair partner. That's kind of ironic.
Isn't it? OP says he had withdrawal-like symptoms after being dumped, but at least he didn't blame OP for it.
Small mercies, I guess.
There's another edit, too, giving more context about their marriage before this. She paints a picture of closeness, it being her only serious relationship, lots of communication, shared values, interests.
So what went wrong, in her view?
She suspects routine, maybe boredom on his part. He admitted he got addicted to the other woman's attention.
Ah, the validation trap.
And he apparently felt OOP wasn't showing him enough love or affection.
Which, okay, it might be a valid feeling, but...
But as OOP pointed out, you talk about that with your partner. You don't seek it elsewhere secretly.
It's just communication, communication, communication.
It led her down that rabbit hole of, was I a bad wife?
Yeah.
Even though she knows, logically, his actions are his responsibility.
That's such a common, heartbreaking reaction for the betrayed partner.
And in the comments for this update, she's clear.
Yeah.
Kids, off the table indefinitely. Trust is shattered.
Makes sense.
Maybe, if therapy works miracles, but it's a huge maybe. She also mentions the once a cheater, always a cheater, saying and feeling like maybe she should break up just to show him actions have consequences.
Setting a boundary even if it's the ultimate one.
Okay, buckle up. 3 months pass. July 26th, 2024, the final update.
The title sounds promising. Or ominous, depending on your perspective.
The TLDR says it all. We are divorcing. Hooray! Complete with exclamation point.
Hooray! Okay, so she made a decision. Good for her.
Yep. She says the time between updates was very, very unpleasant. We know the affair partner dumped him.
Right.
He apparently begged OOP for reconciliation, and she says she agreed.
Agreed to try again.
Nope. She agreed while secretly planning her exit strategy.
Ooh, what strategic retreat. I like it.
They both started individual therapy during this time, but things were still rocky.
How so?
They separated temporarily 3 times. Each time she went back, it was apparently awful.
So the dynamic hadn't really changed.
Not at all. She describes him as desperate, crossing boundaries, love bombing.
Ugh, love bombing. The intense affection after bad behavior.
Yep. Playing the victim, asking for physical contact she didn't want, and then the ultimate manipulation.
Don't tell me.
Threatening suicide if she divorced him.
Oh no, that is serious emotional blackmail. That's abuse.
And that's the huge realization in this update. Through therapy, Reddit, her own reflection, she finally saw it.
Saw what?
That she was in an abusive relationship. And not just since the affair. She realized the manipulation, the gaslighting, the guilt tripping, it had been going on for years.
Wow. That's a massive, terrifying realization.
It really is. She stresses it wasn't overt aggression, not yelling, or obvious meanness. It was subtle.
Yeah, psychological abuse is often insidious like that. It chips away at you slowly.
Exactly. It made her submissive, always putting him first, doubting herself. And she didn't even recognize it as abuse until this whole crisis blew up.
That's so important for people to understand. Abuse doesn't always look like what we see in movies.
Totally. She saw the affair and the polyamory suggestion as just extensions of that manipulative pattern.
Makes perfect sense in that context. It wasn't about love styles. It was about control.
And the more she tried to pull away, the worse his manipulation got. She knew what he was doing, but fighting years of conditioning was exhausting.
I can only imagine. So how did she finally break free?
She got a friend to be there for support.
Right.
Witness, basically.
Smart. Safety in numbers.
Together, they sat him down. She told him it was over, handed him divorce papers. She said it was terrifying.
I bet her heart was pounding. What did he do?
Surprisingly, after the initial shock, he agreed.
He did. No big fight right then.
Not a huge one. He kept asking, "Are you sure?" He brought up their plans, their memories, asked that awful question. Was it all for nothing?
Ugh. Talk about guilt tripping even at the very end. It wasn't her actions that made it for nothing.
Right. Total hypocrisy. He was heartbroken, angry, frustrated, she says, but he signed the papers and left for his parents' house.
Wow. Signing them is a big step.
Huge. Of course, the legal stuff, assets, the house that all still needed sorting. And he still wanted marriage counseling even then.
Some people just don't give up trying to control the situation.
But OOP. She describes feeling free for the first time in months. Relief, tears, celebration. She actually slept through the night.
That says everything, doesn't it? The sheer relief of being out.
It really does. And she credits Reddit massively for being that initial wake-up call.
It's amazing how external perspectives can sometimes cut through the fog.
Yeah, and the comments on this one, people are obviously calling out the husband's "was it all for nothing" line.
Yeah, the nerve.
And OP notes how frustrating it is that many people in their social circle still see him as this great guy who just lost himself.
That's another layer of the isolation abuse creates, isn't it? The abuser maintains a good public image.
Definitely. But OEP ends it on a strong note. She deserves love and happiness. She'll fight for it. She's putting herself first.
Good for her. Okay, so that's the final update, right? Divorcing. Hooray.
You would think.
Yeah.
But nope. 3 months later, October 27, 2024, update. #3. And it starts with a trigger warning for stalking and harassment.
Oh, no. It got worse.
It got worse. She even says, "I wish my previous post was the final one." You can feel the weariness.
So what happened after he signed the papers?
He wouldn't leave her alone. She tried to go no contact, but he bombarded her. Texts, voicemails, calls, constantly.
Refusing to accept it's over.
Then he sent a long letter.
Yeah.
And it was deeply manipulative.
Oh, so?
Questioning her mental health, saying the divorce was her punishing him due to her trauma, accusing her of being influenced by people with bad agendas.
Wow. Blame shifting and gaslighting level 1000.
And he had the audacity to say the crisis was just as hard for him.
Unbelievable. The lack of self-awareness is staggering.
People were warning her this was escalating, but she admits she maybe didn't react fast enough. And then he showed up, uninvited, at her place.
No, that's crossing a major line. Stalking behavior.
Yep. Begging for another chance, saying he didn't deserve this, and then he hugged her.
Did she consent?
She says her memory is fuzzy, which is concerning in itself, suggests trauma response. But the hug triggered a severe panic attack for her.
Understandably. Her body reacting to the threat.
And his response. He called emergency services, but told him she wasn't well and he was worried about her.
Oh my God. Using her panic attack against her, making her look unstable, that's terrifyingly manipulative.
It is. The paramedics apparently had to make him leave.
Thank goodness for them. But it didn't stop there, did it?
No. He then contacted like half their social circle. Yeah. Friends, colleagues, neighbors, even her physician.
What?
Telling them OOP was unwell and needed support, basically trying to isolate her further, make her doubt who she could trust, paint her as the problem.
That is calculated and cruel. Weaponizing concern.
Thankfully, her close friends, therapist, and Reddit saw through it. Her lawyer filed for a restraining order.
Good. Did she get it?
Initially. No, refused. Lack of concrete evidence of a threat.
Are you kidding me? After all that, showing up uninvited, causing a panic attack, contacting our doctor.
I know. It's maddening. They were filing a second request. But in the meantime, for her own safety,
she had to move.
She moved, got her own apartment, kept the location secret from almost everyone, especially him.
A necessary step, but adds so much stress and financial strain.
Totally. She's still paying her half of the mortgage on the old house, but feeling safer is worth it.
How is she doing emotionally at this point?
Better, but still struggling. Stress, sleep disorders, nightmares, nervous tics, anxiety. Doctor prescribed sedatives.
The physical toll of trauma.
She felt herself isolating, but was trying to fight it, reconnect. Therapy was obviously essential.
Absolutely.
And she admits that insidious voice, the one he cultivated, was still there sometimes, urging her to go back, apologize, fix it.
The trauma bond. It's so powerful and hard to break, even when you logically know better.
Exactly. She recognized it as insane, but still had to actively fight it. She just wanted the divorce finalized and regretted not leaving sooner.
Hoping her story helps others, that's a common feeling.
Yeah. Comments on this update mentioned she got a Ring doorbell, beefed up security. Her therapist confirmed his behavior was abusive and urged the move. Journaling was helping too.
Okay. Please tell me there's a more positive, final update.
There is. 5 months later, April 7th, 2025. Update #4.
How is she doing?
She starts by saying she's okay. She's taken time to reflect.
That sounds calmer already.
Good news. The restraining order was finally granted.
Yes, thank goodness.
Shortly after it was granted, he sent one last long text apology, love letter, probably manipulative, who knows.
Technically breaking the order, but
she says there's been no contact since. So hopefully that's the end of the harassment.
let's hope so.
The divorce is officially finalized now. The house is sold. She calls the whole process draining, which I'm sure it was.
A huge chapter finally closed, though.
Definitely. She talks about reflecting on the what-ifs. Things she wishes she'd done differently, spoken up sooner, seen the signs, set boundaries.
That self-blame is still there, huh? It's part of healing, unfortunately.
Yeah, but she's working on forgiving herself. She even acknowledges feeling bad for the pain he went through, feeling shame and guilt. But knows she has to learn and move on.
It shows her empathy. Even after everything, therapy is still helping.
Still a huge help. Mostly off the meds. Bad days happen, anxiety pops up, but she's learning to cope.
Building those resilience muscles.
Her new apartment is her sanctuary, decorated just for her. Her recent 34th birthday felt like a new beginning.
That's wonderful to hear, a real sense of reclaiming her life.
She's taking evening classes, making new friends, reconnecting with old ones, finding joy again.
That's fantastic progress.
Trust is still hard, of course. Fear of manipulation.
Yeah.
Worrying people see her as broken.
Understandable scars. Healing isn't linear.
But she's accepting the tough feelings as part of it. She sounds genuinely excited about her future, full of hope.
That's the best possible outcome after such an ordeal.
And she confirms this is her last update. She needs to move forward without constantly revisiting the pain publicly.
Makes total sense. Time to live her life.
She has plans, travel, hobbies, meeting new people, rediscovering herself, and she thanks everyone for the support.
What an incredibly strong person.
Truly. Oh, and in the comments, she confirms the ex is definitely not with the other woman. That ship has sailed, she says.
Good riddance to that whole situation. Commenters were obviously relieved for her.
Overwhelmingly. Lots of reflection on his manipulation, how subtle abuse can be. Someone noted he broke the restraining order with that text. Others just wished her well.
What a journey. So if we boil it down.
Yeah, the takeaways. You start with the shock of that confession.
Then that polyamory suggestion, which felt like such a deflection, a way to avoid consequences for the affair.
Right. Then the slow, painful realization, helped by others, that this wasn't just a mistake, it was a pattern. It was psychological abuse.
Unpacking years of manipulation, gaslighting, control, stuff she hadn't even named before.
And then the incredibly difficult, frankly dangerous process of actually leaving, dealing with the escalation, the stalking.
Followed by the long road of healing, learning to trust again, rebuilding her entire life.
It's intense. And you, listening, you've just absorbed this whole complex, dramatic arc with us. Hopefully it offers some perspective.
Definitely. Which leads us to our final thought for you to chew on.
Yeah.
This story really highlights how complex relationships can be and how easy it is for manipulation and emotional abuse to hide in plain sight, right? It's not always obvious.
So true. It wasn't obvious even to OOP for a long time.
Exactly. So maybe think about those subtle signs. What does less overt manipulation look like? How can we get better at recognizing it, not just in our own lives, but maybe in the lives of people we care about?
And how can we be supportive without overstepping if we suspect someone's going through something like this? It really comes down to trust, communication, and maybe being more aware of those unhealthy dynamics that can creep into relationships.
Worth thinking about. It's heavy stuff, but important.